What is going on, everybody? What is up, everybody? Hope all is well. Good evening, good afternoon, good night, somewhere in the world. What is up, everybody? Hope all is well. I want to say thank you, first of all, to everybody being on tonight. Make sure you share. Make sure you hit that like button. Make sure you share the video. Make sure you get in the comment section and put your questions, your feedback, or just join the conversation. Again, I just want to say thank you, everybody who is on tonight. I want to say thank you, everybody, to my panelists. Thank you so much. We're going to have a great night. We did this last week. Had a great, amazing show. We're going to do it once again, and we're going to continue this thing moving. I'm super excited about everything that's about to take place, about all of the, input that's about to happen on tonight. So thank you so much. But listen. All right. Okay. All right. Okay. All right. Y'all talking too much. Okay. Listen. So listen, you all. Make sure you all sit back, relax, enjoy the show. Make sure you share this with somebody. Tag somebody on Facebook. Inbox it to somebody in their inbox. Text it to somebody to their phone. Email it to somebody. I don't care how you do it. Just do what you got to do, okay? So listen, right after this, we're going to have our panelists come on, and they're going to introduce themselves, and we're going to enjoy the show. All right, see you guys in a minute. Thank you so much for watching the show. I really hope that you are enjoying. Please make sure you hit that like button and subscribe. And don't forget to donate. Don't forget to subscribe to all other social medias. Don't forget those things, okay? Listen, don't forget to hit that subscribe button. Join us. We would love for you to be a part of us. Hey, while you guys are sitting there, please make sure you hit that like button. Don't forget. Also, while you're sitting there, please make sure you share the video with somebody on all social medias. Let me not forget to tell you that you can donate. Thank you for supporting the platform. Thank you so much for being a supporter of the show. Thank you for watching. Thank you for hitting that like button. And I appreciate everything that you guys do. All right. I want to just again say welcome to everybody to the round table. This is going to be an amazing show. Thank you to everybody who is on tonight. I really do appreciate this wonderful opportunity. Some of the people I have met, some of the people, this is my first time. So one by one, this is a discussion for tonight. We're talking about the situations that are going on here in Florida, as in reference to the LGBTQ community, the Black and Brown, immigration, the laws, education, St. Pete Pride, how we're handling St. Pete Pride. Listen, that's a whole conversation within itself. But I appreciate this. So one by one, I want all of you all to introduce yourselves. Again, thank you. Nicole, you can start.
Hi, Nicole Berman. I'm the executive director of St. Pete Pride.
Esther.
Hey, good evening. I was wondering if we were just going right across the screen. Esther Matthews. I am the president of the St. Petersburg branch NAACP. Nice to be here tonight. Thank you for the invite.
Hi, so I think I'm next. I'm Alexa Matos, and I'm the president of the University of South Florida St. Petersburg College Dems, and I'm also, I think, the youngest board member of Pinellas County's Democrats. So that's pretty excited. Thank you so much for the invite.
Nathan.
My name is Nathan Bruemmer. I use he, him pronouns. I'm an attorney and also president of the Florida LGBTQ Democratic Caucus. Born and raised in Tampa Bay, and I'm happy and proud to be here in St. Pete now. Thanks.
Guess that makes me. I'm Blaine. I'm the president of the Pinellas County Young Democrats, and I'm happy to be here.
Thank you.
I'm Jennifer Griffith, and I'm the chair of the Pinellas County Democratic Party. And happy to be here, and thanks for the invite, too.
Thank you.
Hi, my name is Lilith Black. I'm a local drag artist as well as a kind of freelance activist. I work with a lot of groups to just do good wherever I can.
Good evening, everybody. My name is Johnny Boykins. I am a board member of the Pinellas Democratic Party and board member of Pinellas Young Democrats.
Thank you.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Darius Lightsey. I am a board member of St. Pete Pride, and I also am a regional director for a local nonprofit here in the area.
All right, I want to say thank you to everybody who is here. Are we? Is it? Yeah, I think everybody's here. Well, thank you. Appreciate that. Thank you for everybody being here. Listen, we are all in Florida, and the climate that's here in Florida. Somebody have feedback?
I'm hearing a little feedback.
Let me see. I think that was Nicole. Okay. Well, listen, the climate that's here in Florida is absolutely crazy. I remember my first time meeting Nathan. We were at the LGBTQ Democratic Caucus in Orlando, and just a lot of the information that was shared there, absolutely amazing. It's, some of the things that we're dealing with here, it's almost like it's a dream, not a good dream, but a bad dream. And it's like, we're taking the rights away from people. We're dealing with immigration. We're making it illegal for people to come in the country and even try to, start anew. And the reason for this platform is so that we could make our presence known more than what it is now, because we see our counterparts. We see the Republican Party. They're always in the news. They're always doing something radical, outlandish, and passing some type of ridiculous bill. And I'm almost on the verge of saying, did y'all get any amens in the corner from everybody else? Because I don't remember hearing or seeing this bill. So when I talked to Nathan about a month or so ago, I think it was like 20 bills that they had passed already. And I'm like, I didn't know nothing about this. So listen, I know we have Alexa here and we have Johnny here, and we have Lilith here, and she is a part of the drag community. I want to make sure that Lilith, are there any other pronouns that I need to say? Because I want to be very respectful.
Yeah, I use all pronouns as long as they're used respectfully. But she, they in drag is always a best bet.
Okay, gotcha. Thank you. So as it relates to Lilith, she's a drag performer, and what she has to face, just doing what she does, and it's absolutely ridiculous. I mean, I've got a chance to experience her entertainment, and I'm like, when I looked around the room, I'm like, okay, these are all adults. All adults. Like, what is the problem? But Nathan and Nicole, you guys are in St. Pete. You're the president of the LGBTQ Democratic Caucus. Nicole, you're the president of St. Pete Pride. Like, what is your input about, just how do you feel about a lot of this stuff that's going on?
Well, specifically, the legislation around drag, as an organization, we just think there's a lot of not appropriate words to use, but it's pointless. It's silly. It's stupid. And in our work with the city and our own legal team, we have learned that the bill actually doesn't ban anything. It's a scare tactic. It's misinformation. I think we're all aware of that. What happens. And we're really proud that we will have drag performances on all of our stages, every single event. And in the events where we manage the venue space, it's all ages. So unfortunately, we can't control what other venues are going to tell us to do, but in our spaces, it is all ages, and we're really excited for it. And I do have to say, I did see Lilith perform at our pageant, and fantastic, Lilith, you were amazing.
Absolutely amazing.
Amazing. But we're just of the opinion that there is absolute drag is an art. There's literally nothing wrong with it. We have drag story hours at kids events, and we're disappointed is like an understatement, but we as an organization are really excited to move forward full speed ahead with all of our events, and like I mentioned, with drag at every single one of them.
I love that we start with Pride, because we're on like Pride Eve. I don't know, is that a thing? Can we celebrate like Pride Eve? I think we need that. Damari, when we met, we connected right before session got started, and we knew there were at least 22 bills we were going to have to monitor, and what happened overall the drag ban, which is not really a drag ban. As Nicole put it, like directly, right? I appreciate and I'm proud of what St. Pete Pride and what the city of St. Pete chooses to do in leading across the state around equity. A lot of those bills were consolidated, and so the moment the community is in is a tough one because we're deciphering what all these new laws mean between the drag bill, the bathroom ban for trans folks. I'm a very out and proud transgender man. We've got a trans affirming healthcare ban. We've got the expansion of the Don't Say LGBTQ law. We've got a license to discriminate in healthcare. We've got all kinds of attacks on diversity and equity and freedom in higher education. And there's just a lot that isn't understood. And, Nicole mentioned having to seek counsel to look at the analysis. Not all prides have taken the position to be out in front and lead in this way. And a lot of this will be figured out later in the courts. But right now we have communities hurting and communities needing to come together and celebrate pride. And, it's a really good time to have this conversation because ultimately we wouldn't be in this position if we had elected other folks into office. Because this leadership, these laws, it does not reflect the beautiful state that we're living in, and our community are going to come together and remind folks of that next time the ballot boxes are out.
Now I know Blaine, Johnny, Jen, and Alexa are a part of the Democratic Party, the Young Democratic Party. Jen, Jen, she's a part of the party. But I love Jen. Let me tell you something. Jen has become my best friend. But I was talking to Jen yesterday, and I was talking to Blaine briefly yesterday as well. But Alexa and Johnny, I talked to Johnny today. The important part about this is the next generation, Gen Z, and they're the ones that's going to be voting. And the crazy part about this is that they're trying to push stuff to keep the college students and things from being able to vote. They're moving voter polls around, and it's a lot. Like as a younger crowd, what are your thoughts about this?
I would actually love to answer this first. I actually literally had a meeting today about it. Something that I experienced my first ever time voting in an election was this past cycle in the midterms in 2022. And I have just moved here to St. Petersburg. I was so excited. It was my first semester at USF St. Pete. And I had registered 60 days before. I followed all the rules. I had my Pinellas County voter registration card, and I was denied a ballot because I voted in a primarily Republican area. They said that college students have to vote where their permanent addresses, and I'm originally from Miami. Even though I had followed all the rules, I was still denied a ballot. And they said if I wanted a ballot, I would have to go up in front of a judge. And it was like after school, it was like probably 4 p.m. And I was just like looking at them like, what are you talking about? Like for somebody, I'm a pre-law major, and I was just looking at her like, what? I was like, what do you mean? So I definitely agree. We had a conversation today, Jen and I, that if voter registration cards weren't so important, people wouldn't be going after them. I feel like it's so crucial that minority groups, such as African Americans, Hispanics, LGBTQ members, we all continue to push to the polls, even when it's scary, because they're after that, especially with young people. I experienced it myself. I was just like, I was dumbfounded, and I left without being able to vote. They gave me a sticker, but I didn't get a say, and I was so disappointed. It was my first ever time going to the polls. I was so excited. I had worked the polls in 2020. I had worked the polls in 2018, but I didn't get to experience that, and it was really sad. And apparently I wasn't the only one. I had other conversations with other students on my campus, and it was true. College students were denied voting access, and we are, as USF St. Pete College Democrats, are already for the 2024 cycle preparing. to make sure that we speak to attorneys so we know the rules. And if needed, college students will be supervised by attorneys when they go to the polls to be able to have their vote collected. But it's a shame that that even has to happen in the first place, because I thought we were way past that.
I do agree with that.
So I definitely think it was insane to me that that happened. So I would love to hear what Johnny has to say on the point.
Well, thank you, Alexa, for passing it to me. I think that we have a lot of work to do as the Democratic Party in organizing and turning out people to vote, particularly young people. There is a lot of education that we need to do for new voters. You know, what does it mean to go to the polls? What does a precinct mean? I remember a few years ago when the March for Our Lives kids were registering at record numbers. We registered a lot of people to go and vote. But what we didn't do as a party was teach those people how to vote. You know, what does it mean to go to the polling place? How to get there? What does those numbers mean on your voter registration card? And so there's some work that I think we have to do in organizing as a party, not just young people, but new voters, new arrivals to Pinellas County, and that's going to take some deep work. And we've been out of the game, I think, because of COVID. In meeting people where they are face to face, registering folks and talking to them. And I think the party has to get out there and do that level of work. One other point that I will make, just kind of on the Gen Z front, is that as an elder millennial now, we have to kind of convince younger folks that perfect can't be the enemy of the good. And so just because we can't get everything that we want, just because everything's not on the ballot and it's not moving at a pace that we want it to, doesn't mean that we shouldn't show up, that our vote doesn't matter. Because what this last session showed me was that every vote counts, and there is a difference between the radical right and the MAGA Republicans and Democrats and progressives. And this past session showed us that it really is a difference. And so what I'm going to be doing is talking to those, to those kids, or, that I can say that now, and say, we won't get everything. It takes a long time to move a ship and to make progress. But what we got to do is continue to make progress. And I'm going to be there. I want some of the pie. I don't want the whole pie. I want some of it. And so I'm not going to heed that ground. And I'm hoping that, my colleagues on this call will continue to do the work and bring everyone with us into the polling places in the next election. I'll pass it to Blaine. Blaine, you're the president of the Young Democrats. Go ahead.
I don't know how much more I can add to what both of you guys said. During this time, I'm just always trying to look for the silver lining of hope, something that can keep me focused on not all of the bad stuff that's happening, but something that can keep me focused on the future and, the good that can happen. And the fact of it is that they don't want, Republicans don't want younger people to vote because they know that younger people are far more progressive. They're far more accepting of marginalized communities. They are far more attuned to the events that are going on. They're far more, they're far more attuned to women's rights. And so, the silver lining is that, they're there. We've got tons of young people. And like Johnny said, like Alexa said, we just need to turn them out.
Jennifer, I talked to Jennifer yesterday. We talked a very long time. Not only is the representation for us as Democrats and for individuals especially, it's really low. But it's like the reason why I'm doing this is because we have to make our presence known in a very much so a very heavy way, because they're like DeSantis is constantly, every time I get a notification, it's DeSantis. He did this. And I'm like, Like, dude, do you not know how to just stay out the news? Can you just stay out of the press at one point in time? Because I don't understand, like, why is it that you feel the need to come against the drag community, to come against, African Americans, and you want to take history and kind of push it away and demolish it, and you just have such an issue with Disney World, and I'm just like, okay, like you're like a mini Trump, but very loud, So me and Jennifer, we talked about that yesterday and for the past couple of days, and so I want to hear, I want to hear from you.
You want to hear from me? So my quick take on it is he just turned the legislature into a political platform for a presidency. That's what he did. None of this means anything, I don't believe, truly to him, unless he's what we talked about yesterday, true believer, which maybe he is. I don't know. But I think more of it is theater, and it's very painful and hurtful theater to many different communities in the state. And so what the reaction it's causing, the panic that it's causing, the activism that it's causing, we're in this really strange swirl of a tornado, a political tornado right now. And to Johnny's point, to Blaine's point, to Alexa's point, to everybody's point, we need to do a better job of reaching out. He's dominating the news cycle with each one of these things. It's very Trump-esque. Remember in 2016, and there were so many of us that were like, take him off TV, stop putting him on TV. Well, I would kind of want to scream the same thing to the press right now. Okay, we got it. Session's over. He passed all these laws. Now stop putting him on TV and talk about what our Democrats did try to do in the minute numbers that they have, because I hear about this every day. What are the Democrats doing? I never hear it. And I'm like, because it's drowned out by the nastiness that he's doing. And they are doing work. So we have a YouTube video. I need to actually promote that a little bit more, where we've taken all of the clips of the legislative session with what the Democrats actually did, because they did the most that they could do. They were so outnumbered, they couldn't even filibuster. They couldn't even stop the session to stop the bills. The best they could do was point out the flaws on the floor and then watch the bill pass. So to Johnny's point, to Alexa's point, the vote, I think we had a very, I was kind of curved from saying a depressed electorate, because that's kind of the way I look at it last year, to a diminished electorate. But either works. People lost faith. People weren't inspired. And I think now we're coming into this realistic view of, yeah, we might not be inspired, but if we don't vote, they're going to take everything away. And so we have to. So I can't promise that we're going to have the most glamorous, most likable, most lovable candidates, but we're going to have as many of them qualified candidates that are responsible and reasonable human beings that will not be passing these laws in 2024. So we're doing work every day, and we're trying to build it back up, but it takes all of this. It takes the network of all of us being together. I love the fact that we have this big panel, because we all have to be in this together. We all have to reach the networks and the different networks and connect, because it's going to take us all to fix this.
I appreciate that. Miss, no, she told me not to do that. Esther, you and Lilith, I want to know, this was because I know we got the advisory from the NAACP, you had told me something about that, and why it came at the timing that it did. But what are your thoughts? And I want to hear from Darius as well. And I have a question to pose to Lilith about how does she feel about just the performance, and as a human being, how does all of these bills, how do they affect you? What do they make you feel like? And just what are your thoughts? So I want to hit Esther first, and I want Darius to chime in too. But Lilith and Esther, like, just tell me what's on your mind about these things.
All right. So, all of what I had to look to see if that was me. All of what everyone has said is absolutely spot on. But sometimes we have to look at how the other side moves. The reason we seem to always be reactionary is because we're always reacting to what they're doing. The reality is the Republicans groom their bench. When one falls, they've already prepared the next one to come in.
Right.
We're consistently and constantly trying to find somebody, trying to make calls, trying to see who's ready. When we get to a place where our bench is set, we need to have a full team.
I like that. Yes.
And our football team needs to be such where when our quarterback goes in, the assistant quarterback is already geared up with helmet on, ready to step up. Until we get there, and our young people are at the cusp of the line where they can be that. When we get to that place, we won't necessarily have to have these talks because we will be able to shut them down. But we're just trying to react to some of the madness and the foolishness that's taking place. The one thing that Trump should have taught us is that this country will elect an actor. This country will elect sensationalism. Mm-hmm. This country loves reality TV. And this country loves folks who jump, I can't cuss, folks who jump their tail.
If you want to.
I'm getting better. Nate will tell you that when I get serious, it rolls. However, this country loves, we are a social media country. So they love that. So to say, get them off, it's not going to happen because that's what sells and that's what's exciting. So we have to beat them at their own game. And we're consistently getting Fs in that test because we're not beating them at their own game. And that doesn't necessarily mean play dirty like them. It simply means be prepared so that when they come with the foolishness, we're already ready to roll out the response. And we're not, and sometimes even beating the foolishness with the response. As it relates to the NAACP travel advisory, it's very clear, Demario, and it's saying, we as the leaders of the Florida branches, we met in Tallahassee. I believe it was back in February. We voted on as a collective to push it up to national. National met the first part of May. They voted yes, and it's simply saying, listen, y'all are coming to Florida. You coming to visit, you coming to love on your loved ones, but be prepared that when you come to Florida and you're loving and you're celebrating, you're partaking in all of these things, you're going to Disney, you're going to all of these different places, the leadership in this state is fighting against them. So be prepared to join the fight with us. Be prepared to stand up against your sister and your brother that may not identify as you do sexually. Be prepared to say, I'm standing next to this person. It doesn't matter what they identify as. It doesn't matter what their skin color is. It doesn't matter what their hair color is. It doesn't matter if they got locks and wear glasses and black. I'm standing with them because what they're standing for is what is their right. It's not something that they're asking for that is outrageous. This is something that was in place centuries before we came into play that they're trying to take from us. Why? Because people aren't fitting into the box that they want to put us in. And so we're simply saying, stand with us. And if standing with us means that you opt not to spend your dollars, then that's okay, because we standing and we supporting you with that. If standing with us means that you're going to be vocal with the distasteful things that are taking place in that state, please do so. Because only when we stand as a unit and only when we stand together, arm in arm with our fellow folks, we will be able to make a difference. And until that happens, we will just be ripples in a large lake, making no waves at all.
Agreed. I agree with that.
And I think I answered the question, Demario. Those who know me know I get excited. I'm ready to run to Tallahassee right now, and I can't even run down to my truck. So that'll be.
If I may touch on a few points that you made, and just expand upon a few things that everyone else has kind of said in response to the same question. You're 100% correct that we do need to get people in there with the information that specialize on these things that conservatives are just honestly at this point blatantly lying about. One of the biggest things that we faced being there in person and having only like 30 seconds to make an argument on why we should exist as people, the people who have the opportunity to be a part of the open debate and actually talk about the bills that are being passed, they don't have the information, they don't have the statistics and the facts that we do, because they don't live in our communities, and we can't expect them to. But if we did have people who knew these things, who were prepared with the responses, this would have been a very easy battle. One of the first things that happened when we got into the Senate floor was Senator Book was grilling the Surgeon General, and he's an anti-vaxxer. He aligns himself with people who have some beliefs. I can't say some of the specifics, but oh my gosh, when I say that these people were just spewing blatant, disprovable falsehoods, and all we would have had to do was have someone up there to disprove them for us not even to be having this conversation right now. So that is number one, is get the right people elected who can get up there and can speak for us, because the everyday person does not necessarily have that capability. But also, I wanted to touch on, someone mentioned how these little margins won a lot of the conservative seats, and that is it's a win for them, but it's also kind of the key in winning back the House and Senate. These people have their positions of power by the seats of their pants, and a lot of people really only voted for them because of either an R next to their name or because it was the only name they were familiar with. A lot of their own voters do not believe in these racist, transphobic policies that they're pushing. And as long as we get that information out there and make it known, I don't believe we're going to be having the same issues next legislative session that we're having right now. I think we're going to be having a lot more competent people stepping up and winning these elections once the information about people currently in office is out there. And then finally, it is ridiculous that we're arguing about drag, but the biggest point that I can make on the subject is that it is a distraction. There are over 20 bills targeting the queer people alone. There are over 14 that affect people with disability, over 10 that are directed at non-white people. So like in total, marginalized communities in Florida were hit with about 50 bills, and intersectionality is also where we get hit the hardest. So this whole drag thing is a big distraction away from a lot of the things that they're trying to push in secret that they didn't think were going to get as much of a response. The gender affirming care bans that are affecting even adults right now. Right now, even people who have already been subscribed to HRT can't refill their prescription until the rules are made. So these things are going untalked about because the easiest battle for them to have, the very simple appeal to purity that they're making against drag, is a much easier fight to fight than the disprovable falsehoods that they're making against gender affirming care. So just, I want to finish at least answering the question on, keep in mind that there's a reason why the drag ban doesn't ban anything, and that's because it's all a game, it's all a ploy. They don't actually care about drag. They're trying to distract everyone from the genuine horrors that they're doing to trans children.
Now, let me see. Darius works at Ken. He's also on the board at St. Pete, and so that's my brother. We talk about this a lot because it's like, we sit back and we're just, typically we would do a show on Fridays. We're so swamped with St. Pete Pride right now and getting prepared for that. When we sit back and me and he and I, we talk about this, we sit back and we see these bills that are being passed. And it's just like, I know for the people of color, Black people, essentially, it's like, this is all out racist. This is all out, homophobic. This is just misogynistic. And then they seem to love to go and grab the Bible. So he and I, we talk about this and we're just sitting back like, how the hell are we going to fix this?
So I'm trying really hard not to use certain words because I am a professional cusser.
Amen.
In my free time, Esther, yes, I'm like you.
Darius, listen, a man after my own heart. Tell him, Nate.
I am a professional cusser. I will own it. As I know that some of us, others on here are. It makes me really, all these things that are going on, I realize a lot of it it's really a big distraction. It makes me really angry. I feel like I have been oppressed in this country from the moment I was birthed, just for being. And I hear oftentimes that this is the greatest place in the world to live. And despite, it is better than a lot of places. But we are still dealing with a lot of things that I didn't think in our day and time that we would still be dealing with.
In 2023.
It makes me mad because I am a professional cusser, and at some point I'm tired of talking. I look at the games that play out in our political system, how all the districts have been gerrymandered. The board has been stacked for many of these people in our state houses to get elected. They push this racist, fascist, homophobic agenda of this governor. And what I really believe is, yes, the governor is a spokesperson, but he is the head. But I believe too, we got to go after the body. We need to go after every representative in the Florida House, in the Florida Senate, that backed these bills, that wrote these bills, that supported these bills. We need to get all of them. If you can't get the head, baby, let's start with the body.
Chop that body down.
And let's chop it up bit by bit until we get to the head.
You know what? There's one thing that I think about a lot is, and I'm gonna start this cussing thing off. Okay, so I've been
want to cuss so bad. I've been waiting on somebody to do it.
Listen to me. I feel like this, and we're gonna talk about the kids, right? We talking about Gen Z. I don't know what generation these small kids are, but I'm sitting back looking at all this stuff, from the drag to the critical race theory to all of this stuff that's going on in the system. And I'm saying to myself, y'all don't give a damn about these kids, because if y'all really cared about these kids, y'all wouldn't be doing some of the stuff that y'all doing right now. And then I have to ask the question, because again, we normally have this talk on Friday night show, but at the end, it's like, if you all really cared, as in reference to these Republicans and some of these conservatives, if you really cared about these children, you're taking away critical pieces of their education. You're taking away critical pieces of their life. You're taking away critical pieces of humanity. People fail to realize that there are homosexual LGBTQ people in the Republican Party. So what you're
a lot of them.
Oh, baby, it's a whole bunch of daughters of God. You know what I mean?
Daughters and nieces.
you forget that the same Democratic LGBTQ is some LGBTQ Republicans too. And listen, y'all do some of the worst. Well, I can't say that. Let me just calm down for a second. But I just feel like what you think you're cutting off in the in the Democratic Party, and you think that it's going to hurt people, you're actually hurting yourself, because this is not just one side. This covers all. LGBTQ covers all. Critical race theory, baby, that covers all. You cannot talk about what happened in America and then just say, oh, black people came over here and they just migrated. The hell you preach. Like, black people did not migrate over here. They did not just get on a little TP hut boat and just say, oh, I'm going to come over here to this newfound land and just volunteer to get my ass whooped.
I'd have been over there in the Congo somewhere. Living in nature, just living free.
So when I talked to Nathan, and Nathan, we were at the Hillsborough, shout out to Hillsborough, Democratic Caucus, LGBTQ Democratic Caucus, shout out to y'all. I am a part of that Democratic Caucus. Nathan was there, and he was just presenting and talking about, I mean, baby, it was like Bill 1, Bill 2, I'm like, where did all this shit get passed? Like, what in the world? Like, and I'm like, who actually sat there and okayed this stuff? And I mean, in my head, and sometimes you feel like it's not appropriate to say out loud, but to some degree, it's very much so appropriate to say out loud. What is going on? And these are my thoughts. I don't know about y'all. Y'all can let me know. You can come on in and chime. I feel like, and I said this publicly, if you're not old, white, and rich, and in some sort of position of power, none of this affects you. All of these things that they're pushing, they don't have to worry about none of this stuff. If you're a white woman, you're affected. If you're black, whether you're male or female, you're affected. If you LGBTQ, whether male or female, you are affected. Anything, and all of these people that are in these positions, and they're there, they do what they want to do. Because ironically, they push all these bills, yet and still, they're the main ones that's being caught in drag. Amen. They push all these bills, yet and still, we're catching them in uncompromising positions. They're pushing all these bills, and yet and still, we're finding out they're touching underage kids. While you worried about drag queens, niece, but what y'all think? What?
That is the truth. That is the absolute truth. Sometimes the people who cry the loudest are the ones you really need to be concerned about, not the people that they're targeting. I'm waiting on. I'm just gonna say it. I'm waiting on Ron to come out. It's a clear day, Ron. If you are watching, just land the plane. It's a clear day. The skies are clear. Just land it, Ron. We'll accept you.
Amen.
We'll accept you, maybe. I don't know. Maybe we won't. We might throw you back.
We don't want him in the community.
We don't want you in the club.
We don't want him
with us.
Well, I'll chime in. So I think just to go back to your point, we have to meet people where they are. So you said that, we have to connect these bills to reality. Most people, the average Floridian, doesn't know who their member of the state house is or their state senator, or their city councilman for that matter. So we have to kind of connect, people's realities, to the situation. For example, my neighbor, in my neighborhood in Pinellas Park, he owns a construction company, and this new immigration law that just came out.
Did his workers leave?
He's finding himself not having the workforce that he once had just last week. And so what I've done now is to connect those dots. It's the policies that you supported, that you supported Ron DeSantis and this government. These policies are not hurting your business and preventing you from being successful. And so what we have to do is connect those dots to people's realities. For example, today, I just read it in the Tampa Bay Times that the legislature, passed $50 million for a climate seawall mitigation system. What that means in reality is that we're using public money to give to rich people to build seawalls and on their coastal homes to protect them, but it's not an actual strategy to help all of us in mitigating climate effects or dealing with extreme weather or resiliency. So we are giving money, that the public taxpayers are paying to very rich people who have homes on the beach so that they can build a seawall for their own house. But we're not doing strategies to prevent flooding in Black and brown neighborhoods or in South St. Pete, after a storm where they don't have power for, 2 or 3 weeks. So we have to start connecting, the policies that have been passed to people's realities. And I think that is where, we'll start to change hearts and minds with actual people.
Johnny, how much?
So I think the $50 million was passed in the bill. Each person can apply for a grant to get $150,000 to build a seawall for their private home. And that's not forcing everyone on the beach to build a seawall to like make it a real strategy of mitigating, forgetting the word, sea rise. Each individual house can choose to build a seawall or not. So it's not a strategy. It's just money that we've given to these people so that they can protect their $1 million house. But we're not doing anything to put in, drainage systems in Southside St. Pete or in Pinellas Park or in Tarpon Springs right now. But we're going to give money to the wealthy and well-connected, and we have to connect that to people's realities. As we are getting ready to go into hurricane season, which starts tomorrow, we saw South St. Pete had power outages after a severe storm, not even a hurricane, a severe storm for 2 weeks. For the poorest people in our community who went without power, who lost all their food in their house, but we can give $150,000 to rich people to protect their house, but we can't do something to protect people in South St. Pete or people in Pinellas Park. It's a real tragedy. And so we have to connect that to the realities that exist.
I'm glad you brought that up, Johnny, because so Babe lives in St. Pete, and we went to the pier, and there's this little tiny section on the pier walk, and they have the fish in there. If you all are familiar with that part of the pier, and so they have the fish in there, they talk about the agriculture and they talk about all these things. There's a section in the back corner that talks about when you mess with, because I was about to say the F word, when you mess with or fool with the land, the elevation of the sea line, and there's no natural protection there, when the waters do come in and flow up and everything like that, your houses can get hit a lot worse than it is when you're just going in and you're messing up things. So there's a part where if you have those mangrove trees and those shells and all this other stuff right there, they're telling people not to mess with that, because when the water, the waves and everything start crashing into the banks, your houses are going to be saved, because that shields it. It's like a blocking. It's nature. But I think a lot of these people that is just trying to spend all this extra money, build a wall, like the wall, it wasn't.
So I think we're beyond. I'm a climate activist. I'm a climate change voter. That's the reason why I'm in politics, is because I think that extreme weather and climate change is real and will have deep impacts on the most marginalized communities, including Black and brown people where I live. And so we're beyond the time of mitigating a strategy. We need to start talking about resiliency and how to save communities and keep them alive, versus giving money to people who are already rich and could pack up their stuff and drive away and go somewhere else. So what we have to do is start to connect those dots and say, this money, that belongs to the taxpayers is going to the rich and well-connected, and it's not helping you, it's not keeping you safe, it's not keeping you from harm, and that's the strategy that we have to take, moving forward. One last thing I'll say is that there are a lot of Black women in particular, who are on the front lines of climate activism, on environmental justice, that don't get talked about a lot. So I'm going to use my time here to talk about, those women who are raising the alarm, saying, hey, why is my neighborhood in South St. Pete or in Pinellas Park or in Tarpon Springs, continuing to flood? Mm-hmm. And it's taken 2 or 3 or 4 weeks for the city or the county to respond. But yet you go to Tierra Verde, their lights are back on in 24 hours. Their lights are back on in 15 hours. Mm-hmm. And so there's work that we have to do to connect those dots. And, what I know is that the average person just isn't connected to that. They're not reading the newspaper every day like I do, and they don't connect those dots. And so what we have to do is meet them where they are and bring the political reality into their focus, which is right in front of them. Do I have enough food to eat? Is my neighborhood safe, or so forth.
Now, Nathan and Nicole, you both are presidents of different entities, different organizations. What are your thoughts about just how everything is progressing? Like, what do you feel that should be done and implemented in the area that we are? Because again, it's like we're working hard. A lot of us are tired. I know we tired of talking. Like Darius said, I'm really like what else we need to do? Like, we need to fight. Like what because y'all not listening. Like, what's up? Like, Nathan, Nicole, like what do you think that needs to be done at this point? Besides shoot up and fight. Yeah, unmute your mic.
All right, I'll jump in first. I was deferring to Nicole. I think what Johnny just highlighted, like what needs to be done, these are the critical issues our communities really want to talk about, not where we started this conversation around contrived, political issues to push agendas and put somebody in a position of power, right? So, you asked the question a couple questions ago about why we're here. Look at a picture of the elected leaders of the Florida GOP, and you're going to see mostly white men. We're here with policies that they're putting forward. And so as a community, we start doing this, right? We have real conversations about what we need here locally, right? Johnny's educating and advocating for, issues that really have dire consequences. And sometimes it's a privilege to be politically engaged because you have to put food on the table and keep that roof over your house. And, healthcare and other things like those are all secondary, but we're in a crisis for multiple communities right now. And, last night I was an invited speaker at a PFLAG meeting, and I was so grounded in their experience. And these are parents and families of young LGBTQ folks. It's a very different level of anxiety and fear and looking, they had questions. We ran out of time, and they're looking for places to exist and just be accepted. And I don't think hardly anybody in that room is really politically engaged to the level we might hope, because frankly, they're all deciding if they're staying or not. But they're all excited about St. Pete Pride, and they're all talking about what they're going to show up with, frankly, because right now, while they're trying to navigate whether they can find a physician or a therapist for their 12-year-old or their 15-year-old, they're like, well, I know where we can find community. That ultimately what we do here in St. Pete, I think that's really unique and special, having traveled the state, is come together and figure out how to support each other. And I don't know that we honestly know the direct harms that will be caused by all these new laws, because they're remarkably complicated. There's the reality, what do they really mean, versus, how are they being imposed upon us? What, what kind of hatred and bigotry and empowerment are communities that hate us or organizations that hate us going to do to feel empowered to discriminate more boldly? I think there are a lot of things we don't really know, but I know we take care of each other here. And I think that's what we're going to see expressed, in the weeks and months to come.
Yeah, and I just want to add, as a Pride event organizer, which is what I do, every single day, it's different than what some of you folks are doing every single day in the political world. But like Nathan said, we are a space for community. One thing I think that's really important that we're doing is making sure members of the LGBTQIA community understand that things that affect other marginalized communities, we're all the same. So when they're banning Black history in schools, that impacts us the same way as when they're, saying that trans individuals don't have access to medical care. All of those things are sort of interchanged and interlocked and aligned. And the other thing that we love is that we have several political organizations, people signing up voters at all of our events, especially our big, the 24th event, where we're going to see 150,000 people potentially. So just to be able to provide the opportunity for some of you all to come and get your messaging out there, the folks that are really well versed on the issues, and to sort of engage the group. Very, very proud to be able to offer that to the community. And I am in awe of all of you folks that are on this call right now. Even just being here, I've learned a lot. And I think that also helps me when I am engaging in my circles to have some of these like talking points as well. Because for me, the thing that impacts St. Pete Pride the most was that drag ban bill. And we all recognize that, like Lilith mentioned, like it's just a cover. That's just like a frou-frou in the air to keep people away from like really seeing what the real issues are. And because we don't offer trans healthcare, we don't teach history, those bills don't impact our organization, but we absolutely understand that those are the real harms that are being done to the community. And the fact that we can have drag in our stages is that little piece that we're able to do to support some folks who are being impacted.
Demaria, can I just dive in just really quick? Not on that, but you mentioned something a little earlier in regards to the attack on the school system with the kids. And I think it's important for us to know that it's, Mr. DeSantis is intentional with the placement.
I like that, Mr. DeSantis, not governor, Mr.
I don't address foolishness with titles. Mr. DeSantis is intentional with ensuring that our children, whether it's minority children or LGBTQ plus children, he's intentional with ensuring that they don't have the educational awareness of who they are. Because when you know who you are, then you're clear and you can stand and you can speak with pride and with the knowledge of this is who I am, right? Growing up, I was taught that Christopher Columbus did this. And then the awareness of college taught me that Christopher Columbus was a thief in so many different things in so many different ways, right? But when they steal the true truth of education from our youth, it cripples their ability to stand. And it's intentional and it's deliberate. And it's starting with elected positions, the school boards. It's moving to put in fear into school administrations, because what can they teach? Teachers are afraid that if they teach certain things, they may potentially be criminalized and get charges levied against them. It is intentional, and we have someone who is leading and governing with fear. And until we break it loose and hold them accountable to what they are supposed to do, in particular within the school system, we will continue to have this fear blanket guide us. And I just wanted to just touch on that just briefly, because it is absolutely befuddling to my brain that a man can stand up and say that African-American history will not be taught, but within 2 weeks stand up and say that Asian American history must be taught. And I'm sitting here and no slight to my Asian American brothers and sisters, but you're still my brothers and sisters, and I'm standing here as an African-American woman, so why can't my history be taught along with yours?
Not only he said that the Asian American history can be taught, but it's how they put it in the books.
Mm-hmm. And that's all.
So it's just how what they're doing with African American history, they're twisting it and turning it and saying how they want the history to be told. Mm-hmm. And so Blaine is the president of the Young Democrats, and Alexa and Johnny are a part of that. Mm-hmm. The thing is that the young Democrats really, and this is the reason, like I said, for me doing this, is because I really want the younger generation to really be seen more and more, because as much as they're doing, no one wants to show it. As much as they're getting out fighting, no one wants to show it, or no one wants to share it, or no, because again, like I'm gonna tell you something, on my platform, on my shows, like this is calm, like very calm. Darius to tell you, like we will get on here and we will cut up, have 300, 400, 1,000, no lie, 1,000 people in the live at one time. This is mild.
This is like G.
Yeah, this is G rated. No one, and this is sad, no one wants the education, but they want to be out complaining. And this is what I really want to steer away from. I want us to stop complaining, and I want people to be educated I want people to be educated on exactly what's going on. Mm-hmm. So when you go to vote for somebody, you know why you're voting. Because I promise you, I listen here, I put my hand on whatever is sacred, and I will tell you the truth. When I went to the polls the last time, I didn't know half the people that I was voting for. I was Democrat, because again, those people are like, all of these other people are out here, oh, this is me and this is what I do, and we're going to beat those. Like, those people are out there. The education for why we are voting for you and what you're going to do once you get in and continue to do those things, though that's not being shown enough. Mm-hmm. It may be process. And the process. And the thing is, we have a big trust issue, Nathan and Blaine, because everybody that we have fought hard for has got in position and has lied, has got in position and has let us down. And here we are, as they're coming to our community. They want the LGBTQ vote. They want the black vote. They want the women's vote. They want all of these things, but you make these promises and then you let us down.
So I would like to just push back on that just a little bit. I know that we're being G-rated here and we're being calm, but like, I think the reality of it is that the people that do get elected, that we do manage to get elected, they're not promising that they're going to do something. They're just promising that they're going to fight for it. I mean, right now, the GOP in the House and the Senate have a super majority. There's very little that we can actually do, if at all. I mean, we're completely powerless right now, and it's given the Republicans in the state legislature like full reign to do pretty much whatever they want without even thinking about what they're doing, without studying what they're doing, without and without even paying any sort of consequences right now. And so I understand that the optics of what's actually being done, it doesn't look great for the state of Florida. But there's not a whole lot that we can do when we just literally have no power, and we're relying on people to vote to give us, just enough power to do something. But, the Democrats in the state legislature, I mean, they're overwhelmed with all of the things that they need to know to study, all of the bills that are being passed through. They don't have simply enough people to even just know what it is that they have to fight, and so even if we can give them like 1, 2, 3, 4, every single member that we put in House, every single member that we put in the state Senate, that will give us some momentum to actually fight harder, to combat all of the bad bills that are coming down that are going to come down the line inevitably. But to just I don't know what to say. It's just it's something that definitely gets to me, because we spend our time, yes, on our back foot defending everything that we have, all the rights that I thought that I had. as a gay individual, that's what the Democratic Party, whether it's the state or on the national, from a national perspective, has been doing for as long as I've known, is just protecting the rights that we do have. And so it's really hard to, move from a defensive position into an offensive position.
Can I jump in really quick? I really liked what King Jives was talking about for a second. I totally agree. Jen will know that the first thing I said coming into the Pinellas Democrats is that what is happening? Because a lot of what he said was true. Democrats only talk to marginalized groups when they want something, which is your vote. And that's ridiculous. Because I think, just from this conversation alone, a lot of important points haven't even been talked yet. And we are Democrats. We haven't discussed that 80% of Latino history isn't even discussed in history books in education. Not even it was in there and taken out, like critical race theory. It's never even been touched. I didn't even know how my ancestors came here. I didn't even know I was considered indigenous to my own country until I got to college. I'm a political science major, and my whole department.
And this is why I love the younger generation.
Oh, yeah. No, listen, Jennifer will tell you, I am so blunt. Like, I have no filter. I'm so sorry. I've been holding my tongue. But it's that some communities who don't even have a voice to begin with because of a language barrier, because of lack of education, can't even stick up for themselves. But I didn't even know my own history until I got to college. And now it's being taken out and banned. In a college level, not even K through 12. And I grew up in Miami. I did the ESOL thing. All of my teachers spoke Spanish, and we didn't even know until we got here. And something that hasn't even been discussed yet is that there was a bill that was passed in this legislation banning, and this is a big part for Tampa and St. Pete, banning Russian, Iranians, Cubans, Syrians, Koreans, Venezuelans from being able to buy land or property.
Oh, yeah. I just saw that. I saw that last week.
In Florida, within 15 miles of a military base. We have MacDill in Tampa, and we have a Coast Guard base in South St. Pete. I don't know if you guys knew this, but St. Petersburg has the largest concentrate of Asian Americans in the state of Florida.
Mm-hmm.
Now they're not even allowed to buy land?
Second largest.
Oh,
Sorry.
second largest. I know it's such a huge concentrate, and they're not even allowed to come to this country to live the American dream, and they can't even buy land. Like, that is ridiculous. And I think, honestly, the Republicans know what they're doing because they want to keep minority groups, respectfully, poor and dumb. They want us to be uneducated because when we get education, this is what we do. We push back.
Mm-hmm.
And they don't like that, which is why they're taking it away. And as sad as it is, like, I know you guys wouldn't know this, but I went to a Florida political science conference a couple weeks ago on behalf of USF, and I learned that they're internationally, Floridian students will be accepted at like a 200% higher rate than any other student to transfer out of Florida, because they are preparing for a mass immigration of students. Like myself, I'm actually currently applying to master's programs internationally because my program no longer exists. I'm a political science major with a concentration in diversity. Oh no, I know, it's very scary. And my program no longer exists. I have 1 year from which the bill was signed to complete my degree. And I'm planning to go abroad because there is no more being able to study here. And they want to take away our education. They want us to be selfless, and they don't want us to have access to what we have right now. And I think one thing that, like, I'm so happy we touched on the immigration bill because I'm happy that Florida is about to see what happens when they don't have immigrants doing all the dirty work for them. I'm really excited to see when your infrastructure, wait, can we curse? When your infrastructure goes to shit, I'm excited to see how y'all react, because who's out here cleaning up all of that sewage, doing the construction, taking care of the 275. Who's building the Howard Franklin right now? It's Hispanics, and we're leaving. So I'm really happy that we're touching on these topics, and I really do hope. And now that I have a little chance to speak, there's a petition going around to help women's productive rights, and we need to get 1.3. I think the goal is like 900,000, but we want to push for 1.3 million goals in the state of Florida to get abortion back on the ballot. And since I have this chance to talk, please sign this petition. It's going to be really impactful because as of right now, it's not up to Floridians if abortion is legal. It's up to Ron. And I don't think one person should really have a say over an entire state, but he does. So since I have this, please go sign the petition. It's going all over St. Pete and Tampa. I'm sure if like a quick Google search, you can find it. But yeah, I want to pass it over to Jen because I think I cut her off and I felt bad.
You can cut me off anytime, Alexa, because it's always good, and I know it's going to be fabulous.
Stop.
All right. So yes, the petition is and there's also a clean water petition, and there's also a legalized marijuana petition. So go search up Florida petitions, and you can go sign away and get some good things on the ballot. I just wanted to touch on something because Esther mentioned the bench. Mm-hmm. So in Pinellas County specifically, we have 24 municipalities. We have currently, I have a kind of a spreadsheet going. It's 15 pages of electeds for city councils. That's it. Just city councils, county commission, school board, and the statewide positions, and also our congressional positions. That's a giant bench, and you know who knows it? The Republicans. Mm-hmm. And they've been using it for a real long time. And we've been letting it slide under the radar. I can't tell you how I've been involved with the Democratic Party since 2017. And I can't tell you how many times I've heard, we're not going to play in the municipals. They don't matter. Oh, yeah? Well, now we see why they actually do really, really, really matter. And then to build on that, when you get extremists taking over city councils, and we have little municipalities. I live on St. Pete Beach, where some people are going to take $150,000 grants to get their seawalls fixed. I guarantee you. I don't live on the water though, so it won't be me. But we just had a change in mayors, and the extremist won. And what's he doing? He's running around and trying to just change everything and basically be an agent of chaos. He was completely funded by a right-wing PAC that does much destructive stuff. They're totally building their bench. They put him into place to replace a very good, solid municipal mayor. He just wanted to fix the sewers and the sidewalks. That's all he wanted to do. And they got rid of that guy because he's dating the wrong woman. Her name happens to be Alex Sink. So he landed on Ron, Mr. DeSantis's list. And that was the end of that. They hired the hot shot PAC. Done. Kenneth City is one of our municipalities. There was an article in the paper today. That city is about to completely fall apart. It's about to literally not exist anymore.
As it should.
I have only ever gotten speeding tickets in Kenneth City, so I can't disagree with you. But
what city is this?
This is Kenneth City.
Kenneth City.
5,000 people in the middle, basically, and it's right outside of St. Pete and Pinellas Park. And they have let their city government run so far amok that they don't have any staff. The city hall is locked. It's crazy. There was an article in the Times about it today.
God is good.
So and actually that is what I thought. Just desserts. Like this mayor on St. Pete Beach. You want to act all wild and out there? Yeah, I don't want to live through the consequences, but we're living through them left and right from the state government. So. And this, I think, in the worst form, because everybody, when you go out and you say, please vote for us, because if you don't, fascism is coming. They're like, oh, you're being hyperbolic. We're not anymore. It's you can see it. You can look around and see it everywhere. So in Pinellas, we have 24 municipalities. We have 6 House districts. So while it would seem that we don't have any Democrats in any other areas besides South Pinellas, we actually have a bunch in Oldsmar in different little pockets. We have a bunch in city council positions. These are the bench. that would run for those House district seats, those state Senate seats. I wrote all this down because I will lose my thoughts. So I'm going to hop a little real quick. That's just kind of the lay of the land and where my mind is at on how do we change this? Because that's all I want to know. How do we fix it? And then I also go back into history, and Darius can tell you, I've been a student of one of the best history teachers in Pinellas County for the last few years, Miss Gwendolyn Reese. And she taught me about a paper that the Chamber of Commerce wrote about 50 years ago. Right after all of the civil rights movement, right after the women's rights movement, right after all of the human race in Florida, in the United States started getting some rights. Mm-hmm. They didn't like that. So they wrote a paper. I wish I had it. I do not have it, but it laid out everything they needed to do, take over the judiciary, all of these different things to change it back. Mm-hmm. And in my view, it took them 50 years. They did it. And they did it right under the radar, right under our noses while we weren't really paying attention. Mm-hmm. So hopefully we have awakened. We are woke. Forget you, DeSantis. And we are paying attention, and we will make this change. We're networking. This is the beginning of it right now. And hopefully there's a bunch of people watching too. We're networking. Network with us. Build this out. Let's spread. One last thing. Flooding. Today, as the rain was pouring down, Johnny, you're not exaggerating. I did it today. I drove from Old Southeast, 22nd Avenue South to 34th Street South. Flood, 22nd completely. 34th Street South. 34th Street South was almost all flooded, except for the center lanes. All the way to 54th South, out to the beach, flooded, like just blowing water out of the side of my car. All the way down the Bayway. And then I go over the Bayway Bridge. For anybody who doesn't know this, it's all the way out to St. Pete Beach. St. Pete Beach was dry because the mayor that I was talking about, that was his priority, to redo the sewers. And he fought for years to get enough money from the state to redo the sewers. And he didn't ever get it, all of it. He had to take loans and grants, but he did it. He redid our sewers. We had dry streets. So yeah, it's real. It's not even an exaggeration, but yeah, it's all of it combined.
So, in us having, because all of this is good information. If you're watching this particular show tonight and you walk away from here and you say you didn't get nothing, for lack of better words that I want to use right now, you're dumb. At the end of the day, one thing I love about St. Pete Pride, even though I'm a part and I work with them, is that they create a space for everybody. And for the time that I have been a part of St. Pete Pride, they have been working with every group, no matter white, black, Hispanic, no matter what you are. Everybody is present. Did we go out?
No, I'm here.
Okay. Everybody is present in this particular organization. And so what we need now more than ever is people like groups like St. Pete Pride, groups like the NAACP, because again, we're not fighting separately. We're fighting together, because I don't care what we say, how we look at it. Everything that's being done, it's affecting each and every last one of us in some kind of way, shape, form, or fashion. I have to agree with Alexa, because as much as we're fighting for Black history, African-American AP courses, I can assure you this. I have never, and I say never emphatically, never heard much about the Hispanic community. Never. And it's like the only time that you really hear about some of these communities, cultures, and things is when you go to these areas, and it's real big in those areas. Like Miami is real big Haitian community, Bohemian community, Hispanic community, all of these. Like when you go to these areas is where you hear about these cultures the most, these diverse communities the most, but you don't hear about it in these little rural areas. It's black or white. And I mean, that's not a bad thing, but it is a bad thing because it's like, y'all, if you're coming from an area where Miami is everybody in me, okay? It's everybody. You go down there, listen, if you white, you pretty much ain't gonna be married nobody white. You gonna be married somebody, okay? You go down to Miami, baby, everybody and their mama's down there. But you come to like Lakeland, Florida. Listen, I lived in Polk County, so
Don't talk about Grady territory.
Look, I don't like Polk County. Whatever, fuck that. But it's like it's diverse, but it's what you see is not diverse. It's really sad, and we have to make it where everybody is included, because this is not a one side, one race, because that's what these governors and these politicians are trying to do, make it a one race thing or one sex thing or men run the world. I'm like, baby, men don't run the world. You know what I'm saying? Like, you can't run this world.
If I may, so I mean, I think that that what we have to realize and recognize is that the GOP has been playing this game for a long time. The work that they're doing in the Hispanic community is deep and strong. They're on Spanish radio right now. I don't know if you guys remember this, but our Senator Rick Scott learned Spanish while he was governor. Like, learned it proficiently, and then every tweet, every communication that he put out was in Spanish and English. And the work that the GOP is doing to kind of put Hispanic communities against one another, or Latino communities against one another, is very deep. The Cubans versus Salvadorians versus Puerto Ricans. They're kind of doing some dividing and conquering, but they're doing the work. And I think that on our side, we have to equally do that work, kind of engage. The Latino community in Florida is the biggest, fastest growing community that we have. We had a lot of Puerto Ricans who arrived here after Hurricane Maria, and we should have taken those American citizens and brought them to our side, and we didn't do that work. And so on the left, in progressive spaces, we have to expand our reach from beyond African American communities and whatever, to include Asian Americans, Hispanic Americans, or Latino Americans, and broaden our scope. But the GOP right now is doing that work. Like, you can go on Spanish radio right now and hear anti-abortion, pro-GOP ad every 2 minutes, which is why we lost in the last election. Which is why Broward County, who I would have never thought in the history of my time in Democratic politics would have turned red. That was our strongest foothold in this state, went Republican for the first time, I don't know, in my entire life, because they did deep communal work in changing people's votes from Democrat to Republican, and we have to do the same if we're going to win in the next election.
On Johnny's point, I want to clarify a couple things. Speaking from the Hispanic community in Miami, Broward actually stayed blue. Miami went red in 2022. And how they did this is it was very easy. There are very certain trigger words that really get Hispanics to group together. You bring up the word communist, you bring up the words religion. Those are very big cultural aspects of where we came from. Especially in Miami, there's a big Cuban, Venezuelan population. And even though I know a lot of people say, oh, Cuba and Venezuela have never really dealt with real communism, that's not the propaganda that they've been fed. And I feel like people really don't understand the difference of education people are getting from the countries they are immigrating from is not what is here. They do not understand the difference of what real communism is versus what they are being told on TV. Especially women, especially children, especially men who don't have time to go and study when they have to go off and work at such a young age. Women who stay home, they watch TV, they take care of the kids. They are only being fed what they are given, and it's not a lot. So the GOP was so smart in the way that they did this. They were very, very strategical, putting, making Cubans specifically feel superior because they've made it to America and they beat communism and they will join the GOP to vanish communism. They were very strategic in that way, and I was heartbroken. I registered 5,000 people in Miami-Dade as a 16-year-old in the 2020 cycle. I was sponsored by different groups to get people involved, and I was heartbroken to see that the Democratic Party nationally, even at the state level, did not do anything for the Hispanic community. I didn't see it. And I was there working for Cubans Con Biden. I was working for the Biden-Harris campaign. And there was no outreach to our little pocket in South Florida. And I'm now reading reports saying that, I don't know if you guys are aware of how South Florida's, how it looks, but it's like the coast is all the rich white people. And they, on the other side of the highway, just similar to 375, all the poor Black and Hispanic people are there in Little Haiti, Opelika. And now, while the rich people are going underwater, they're now gentrifying those communities more and more. And I'm not seeing anything from any political party to make sure that those people still have access to food, access to water, access to education. Even Ron is signing bills, House Bill number 1, to make sure that public schools in Miami-Dade do not receive funding. They want to continue to make Hispanic people uneducated, so they will be so blindly following the GOP. And I just wish, I totally think this could have been, like, this session would have been so different if we would have taken our second highest population in the state of Florida, the backbone of our economy, which is the Hispanics, and we didn't. And that's on us. But this cycle, it's going to be different. I don't know how, but I promise you, like, we're going to be working hard because Hispanic youth, like, we're not dealing with it anymore because it's not fair at this point that we don't even have a voice. Like, I don't see it, and I'm in it. So it's like, I really hope that we as Democrats see what a need there is. Because I'm so proud of the African American community to be able to advocate for themselves so loudly, consistently persevering. Like, you guys are always making strides. Even after all the shit that comes your way, you're always pushing. And I just hope that, like, the Latino community is able to come together and do that as well.
Can I dive in? I want to say, Alexa, I commend you. Your voice inspires me. I am 48. I know I don't look a day over 21. But your voice and your passion inspires me. Johnny said something at the top of this conversation, that we have to make it connect to people. And so I say, in these journeys that we take, right, Alexa, we have to make these things connect to your pocket. There's a pocket of African American youth that they don't give two flying shits about voting. And we have got to make it connect to them, right? Your cousin is sitting before Judge so-and-so. Well, guess what? Judge so-and-so was voted into that seat.
Yeah. Politics affects every single thing of everybody's life. Oh, that brand new car you just bought? Well, look at the gas prices. Think about the tariffs. Think about what's happening in the economy. Every single thing has the roads you drive on, how you flush your toilet. All of those things revolve around politics. And once we make that connection with people, I think eyes are finally going to start opening.
Yeah, or they can shut the hell up. I mean, it's either open your eyes because we've made it. It's plain. You know, there used to be a song, and y'all remind me, right? I'm gonna go to Nate. What was the song that used to play on Saturday mornings? I'm just a bill, just an ordinary bill.
Oh, Schoolhouse Rock.
Right. So, like, those are the things that we woke up to on Saturday morning, and that ignited the fire in us to pay attention. Right? The kids aren't watching, they're not watching TV like we did when we did our chores and then we got to watch TV. But we have to do something. And I say kids and scholars and our young folks, we got to do something that fits for them so that it ignites the fire in them to pay attention. And I don't, you know, as a 48-year-old woman, right? Like my kids in 2020 had me on TikTok. I went viral. In case y'all don't know, I did. But there's something that we have to, there's something that we need to hit the switch on so that my 24-year-old that I literally had to beat across the head because she felt that her vote did not count. There has to be something that says it's not going to take my mama telling me she's not giving me another $1 to go vote. I'm going to beat the walls down getting in there to vote. And I'm excited, you know, Alexa, for your age and others, because those ideas that you bring and that passion that you bring shows that we are not lost and that I do not have to set my passport up to move me to Africa, because I was planning on doing that along with some of my other counterparts, unfortunately. But I'll stick around a little longer, at least until 2025.
Africa, Mexico. Yeah.
I ain't going to Mexico. They taking us. They taking the sexy ones. They want the sexy black women. I ain't going. I ain't going to Mexico. I ain't going.
You might not make it back.
Look.
I ain't going. But I go over there to Africa.
Liz, I want to. Go ahead, Liz. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
To touch on something that Alexa was saying, you made a really great point about the tactics that they use, especially with specific buzzwords, to get people thrown off of the tools that actually could be very helpful for them, especially with a lot of, well, I'll just say it, especially with Cubans, socialism is a just turnoff. It is the quickest way to get someone to stop even listening. And that is very intentional. That was done over generations of reinforcing negative stereotypes. But you also spoke on how even the education in these countries they disassociate from the core of what these beliefs actually are about and what the point of these systems are. And it's not just Latino people who are being affected by this. It's a technique that fascism uses in all of its cores. That's why we're seeing trans people villainized. It's turning the marginalized target in the minds of their followers into the most powerful beings that are personally going to be taking away your rights and your livelihood. So part of what you were saying earlier of getting people to see how it affects them is just finding which version of this same script they're facing.
So I'm listen, everything that's been said here tonight, like everybody has come with information, everybody has come to inform all of this stuff. I would like for everybody who is watching to please make sure you like, share. If you're not subscribed, please make sure you subscribe. Make sure this information gets out to somebody. It is very informative. Nathan, I was going to say Nathaniel. Nathan is the president of the Florida LGBTQ Democratic Caucus. Nicole is the president of St. Pete Pride, and they're doing an amazing work where they are. Lilith is an amazing entertainer. I just got a chance to meet Alexis and Johnny and Blaine. Blaine and Johnny, we've talked briefly, but Alexa and Jennifer, we have talked. Listen, if anything else, I'm rocking with you. You know, Esther, like I love her energy. I love what she brings, and all of these people. And Darius, he works with St. Pete, works at Kane, Kane Community Health. All of these people that's on this platform are people that's in the community working. That's the reason why they're here. The reason why they're also here is because their voice needs to be amplified. These people are not, out here just lollygagging around and not doing anything. They're doing the work. They don't have these positions because they're just, I want a position just so I can look good or whatever. No, they're doing the work because community matters. No matter what the color of your skin is, community matters. If something happens to you down the street, you listen. Let me. I'm gonna say how I was raised. This is me, how I was raised. I was raised by everybody, like black, white, Mexican. It don't matter. Like if I did something at school, somebody said something to the bus driver, and it got back home. I was raised in a day and time where it was like slow, old school. Okay, we don't have that sense of community no more. We got Karens now. We got Kens now. You scared to let somebody touch your kids. You don't know what to expect no more. That sense of community is slowly dying away. And we really need to bring it back because, again, we are better together than we are apart. And when we are apart, that's when the division starts to happen. That's when, you're better than this one and you're better than that one. That's when it happens. So I appreciate everybody on here that has said anything. If you guys want to say anything before we end tonight's show, the floor is yours right now.
So I'm going to just dive in real quick. I want to, again, thank you, DeMario, and thank you, Darius, for the opportunity to bring and put a voice to the work that we're doing. I encourage anyone who has not had an opportunity to see, participate in, or get to know us, the St. Petersburg branch NAACP, do not hesitate to call me. I do actually answer my phone. I do take, I will send text messages, but I know that it takes all of us to do the work and to repair the damage that has been done in our community. So I'm always readily available. And I want everyone on this call to know that if you call me and you need me, I am there. And then I take a point of preference to say that if I call y'all, the expectation is that y'all gonna be there too. I do come with wine. And so I welcome the opportunity to work with and for you in the journey.
Okay.
I'll jump in. We've got a couple of good things going on tomorrow. One better than the other, but maybe Nicole's going to happen to mention if you're free at 10 o'clock tomorrow morning, you could join us at City Hall to put up the Pride flag. St. Pete Pride is going to be hosting that. Nicole's going to say some inspiring words, I have no doubt. And later in the afternoon, if you'd like to help to protect access to healthcare for transgender folks, we've got a hearing happening over in Tampa at the West Shore Grand from 2:30 to 4:30. So there's a lot of other good information that's going to be shared by a lot of organizations like the Florida LGBTQ Democratic Caucus, Equality Florida, and others, because all these new laws are confusing. So be on the lookout for a town hall near you if you have questions, and we will often post it. And if you'd like to follow the Florida LGBTQ Democratic Caucus, we're on all the socials, so you can find us on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, Twitter, and the website. It's easy, lgbtqdems.org. And I appreciate you having me here. Thank you.
Thank you, Nathan.
Yeah.
I just will expand on that real quick. Thanks to the platform for having all of us, as they said, but also that the Board of Medicine meeting tomorrow, it is, a lot of groups are going to be there. I'll be there with Equality Florida and Women's Voices of Southwest Florida. It's a meeting, it's a rules meeting. So it's a committee meeting to define rules regarding first gender affirming care for minors. This includes the potential for them to be stripped from their homes. It also touches on gender affirming care for adults. So if either of those issues affects someone you know or you personally, anyone should come and join us. Until this meeting is over, currently, no, even adults can receive a gender affirming care at all. And depending on what they decide, that might not change. So please make your voice heard. Make sure that if you are a trans person, visibility is so important. All that some people need to change their opinion is to know that we are out there and we are real, kind, genuine people. So please show up whenever possible. Thank you.
Just to follow up with what Nathan said, we are raising the flag tomorrow at City Hall, but also June 24th is our parade day and festival, and we will have a bunch of different folks out there doing voter registration. So if there's anybody who you want to come support Pride, but you also have a lot of questions, I know that we have, I want, again, like 3 or 4 different groups of folks out there who'll be able to talk about legislation and how folks can get involved while you support Pride. And it's stpetepride.org if you want any information on any of our events. And thank you, Demario and everybody, for allowing me to participate. It's been great.
I'm going to jump in real quick, hopscotch around. We are helping register voters at Pride. So if anybody wants to help us register voters at Pride, go on to Mobilize and mobilize.com, and you can find the Pinellas Democrats and sign up via Mobilize. And we will have someone help you. If you don't know how to register, we will train you, and we will be out in force at all of the Pride events, not just the parade. We're going to be at every single one. So come and help us register some voters and, get some petitions signed and get things going. You can find us at PinellasDemocrats.com. You can email me at chair@PinellasDemocrats.com. And let's see, we're on all the socials if you want to go. Well, almost all the socials. We need TikTok. See, that's why I found Alexa to help us get out there. No, I'm kidding. But we're on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook. Yes.
We're getting to TikTok. Don't worry.
So with the Pinellas Young Dems, if you want to get involved and you live in Pinellas, reach out to us on Facebook or Instagram, Pinellas YD. That's as in Pinellas Young Democrats. Even if you don't live in Pinellas and you want to get involved and have fun, reach out to us and we can find you somewhere where you can do that.
I'm in Tampa, Blaine.
Hey, we've got the Hillsborough Young Dems and the county party as well. So we'll find a place.
I guess I'll say elections matter and elections have consequences. And this past session showed us that your vote does matter, and that you matter, and that your community matters. And so just show up, but also take care of yourself. I know this work is hard. It is stressful. It is straining. But we are committed. We stay in the fight. I'm committed. I'm not leaving the state. I'm just as much a Floridian and American as Ron DeSantis and his clown car of GOP people. And so, I'm going to stand up and fight back. And, as a military veteran, as a gay man, as a Black man, as a Floridian, this is very much my state too. And so I'm going to show up to fight for the people that I care about and the communities that deserve it. So stay in the fight.
I guess I'm last. I want to say thank you so much for letting young people come and talk. I promise you. It
won't be the last.
Oh, yeah. Thanks. I'm looking forward to more opportunities like this. But yeah, I really appreciate being able to come and speak. I actually refounded the USF St. Pete College Democrats not even a few months ago, and we're definitely working hard to make sure these initiatives are met. I really love St. Pete. I know I am a Miami girl, but St. Pete is. I'm so happy to say, call St. Pete my home, and yeah. So I'm really happy that I got to meet all of you, and I can't wait to see what we accomplish in the future.
So you are not the last one, Alexa.
I thought you were.
It's okay. I just love your name. So this has been such an important discussion, and I hope that it leads to more discussions, and I hope that it will lead to inspire people that are dismissive of the process, people that don't believe anything is going to come of these conversations. I hope that those people, those individuals will be inspired to get involved, to fight back in a meaningful way. While we're also talking about pride, of course, I know everybody's going to come to the parade. Woo woo. I also want you to come to Shades of Pride June the 17th at the
Yes.
Factory St. Pete, where we will have T.S. Madison and Milan Christopher. We're going to have my brother King Jobs will be there. I will be there. We will have a host of other people there. And so I want to see all of you all there too. Jen, will you be there?
Yes,
Good.
yes.
So listen, if that is everything, I want to again just say thank you to everybody who has come on tonight. I really greatly do appreciate it. This will not be the last. So if you get a text message from me, if you get an email from me, just know I'm planning for something else. But it is so important that we continue to do this, and that the people in our communities continue to hear this, because I'm quite sure that our counterparts are doing something themselves, and they're not working hard, but they're working hard enough to spin the narrative on everything. So we got to put truth out here, truth to power, and the campaign needs to be a truth campaign and just get what we need to get and change this whole thing. Because again, I know for myself, I'm tired of people getting in office that's not going to be serving the community. They're only serving the rich. And so the rich keep getting rich and everybody else is where they at. So again, I want to say thank you to everybody, and I look forward to doing this again. Have a wonderful night, you all, and I will talk to you all again.